things just took a major turn in New York as a new report states Ilya Sorokin could be on his way out of Long Island. In this video, we're going to break down what a potential trade looks like, so you're not going to want to miss this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we dive into everything here, just want to say we're on the road for 18,000 subscribers here before the start of next season. So if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date on the latest NHL news and latest news around your New York Islanders, make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But with that said, we got a huge report today coming out from Frank Seravalli talking about Ilya Sorokin, and I'm going to bring it up here for you guys. He said, I do think at varying points there's been some conversation around Ilya Sorokin, and in a bit we did hear some talk draft day around Sorokin. We're going to bring that up in a bit, but diving into this first, I think it is very interesting that the New York Islanders were, shopping around Ilya Sorokin. Obviously, now getting a new GM involved, he kind of wants to take his reins, and Mathew wants to stamp an imprint on this team, and whether that's trying to retool and going into try to compete for a playoff spot this year, because I know you guys know as Islanders fans, the Isles have always really been on the bubble every year. Either they're just making it into the playoffs, or if they're just out of the playoffs. They've always been missing that one thing that can burst them through the wall and get into the playoffs and get into, cup contention, at least over these last few years. So I think getting a new GM involved here, and I think maybe going the rebuild route is what we're going to see in New York. And I know a lot of Islanders fans don't want to hear that, but I think ever since, maybe JT left New York, things have been rocky there, and they've always, had their guys, and then they left, and now they're kind of in a scenario where they just got the first overall pick in Mathew, a guy who's going to have a lot of promise and is definitely a franchise D-man for this team. So the thing is, do they want to compete now, or do they kind of want to trade some of their older guys that they can get a lot of value for some younger guys, so that, they can develop with Mathew and they can build a little young team here like we've seen with the Montreal Canadiens, what the San Jose Sharks are doing right now. I think that is the route that is best fits this Islanders team. I definitely think so. So it'll be interesting to see that. And obviously, Sorokin is probably the top guy on this team with a lot of trade value here. I mean, looking at this guy, he had an unreal season in New York. Just look at this. 30 wins, 24 losses on a team that was kind of struggling. He had a 271 goals against with a 907 save percentage, 4 shutouts as well on the season. And at the end of the season, he was hot. He was trying to get the Islanders, as far as he could to get to the playoffs, and he had 912 save percentage with a 259 goals against. There's no doubting that this guy is a world-class goaltender, seeing he's been in 2 All-Star games, multiple 3-Star of the Week honors, Vezina Trophy finalist 1 season ago in 2023, and he was on the All-Rookie team as a goaltender. This guy is an exceptional goaltender, and looking at some records that he's broken here in New York, he broke the shutout record, having 22 by the end of last season, and he posted a 924 save percentage the year he was a Vezina finalist, and obviously that's a franchise record as well, and he's also the fastest to 10 career shutouts in Islanders history. So there's no doubt in the world that Ilya Sorokin is an unreal goaltender, and you are going to get a lot in return for this guy on the trade market. And I know he did recently sign a new deal where he's coming in at $8.25 million, which maybe isn't the easiest contract to trade when you're talking trade scenarios, but we've seen, like I mentioned earlier, we've seen a big trade at the draft almost coming to fruition. Again, from Frank Seravalli here, he said sources indicated there might have been some sort of draft day deal with Utah and the number 4 pick, part of the James Higgins deal that the Islanders were trying to work. Obviously, then that would mean they would go into a full rebuild by having 2 top 5 guys. Unfortunately, that did not happen for Isles fans, but he said that he could never get to the bottom of what the details of this trade actually were. So we know that they were willing to trade Sorokin. So I think if the right package comes along, they will be willing to ship him out again. And teams I'm looking at here, this is just teams that I think need some goaltending help, and that's kind of what they've been missing to get to the next level. I'm going to bring up two teams here that I think are definitely capable of trading for Ilya Sorokin, and the first one is the Edmonton Oilers. And yes, looking at that cap space right now, they're 175 grand positive, so they can't take on 8.25 million off the bat. But this is a team that's been to the Stanley Cup final in back-to-back years. They've lost both years, arguably because of their goaltending, and it kind of seems like in a, where we are right now for the Oilers, they need to win with McDavid or he may walk. So this is an all or nothing kind of deal for the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, they signed Bouchard to a massive deal at 9.5, so the cap is going to be tight in Edmonton, but I do think that Sorokin, if his name is out there, which it is, we will see them put in some trade offers for him. And looking at some thoughts I've seen online of potential trades for this and stuff that I've just been thinking of, I think you have to give up Stuart Skinner because he's 26, he's younger, he fits the kind of remold into a younger team of the New York Islanders, but obviously that's not enough value. It's not enough contract value going back the other way either. So I think a guy like Zach Hyman is going to have to be involved here because he is a big name guy. He matches the caliber of Sorokin, I think, with both of these guys paired up in terms of trade value. Plus, I think you need to give up a pick in this situation too. So yes, it is a big haul going to the Islanders' way, but for what you're getting in return, you can get the goal scoring and the point production out of Draisaitl and out of McDavid, but you're not going to get the goaltending out of Skinner. So I definitely think this is a high risk, kind of high reward situation for Edmonton. But I definitely think it is one that we will see, rumored over these next little bits, because I think they're going to be looking heavily for a goaltender. But there is another team, the arch rivals of the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs. That is the Los Angeles Kings. This team on paper is absolutely nasty. It's one of my favorite teams to watch in the league today, just because of their two-way game is phenomenal. I mean, they look like Team Finland out there in the Four Nations Cup with just how good their two-way game is. And I think one thing they're lacking is goaltending. Yes, they have Darcy Kemper there, but he's a bit older now. I believe he's in his mid-30s at this point. So maybe trading back for a Sorokin makes sense. I mean, they do have 6.7 million in cap space, and they do have an RFA I believe that they do need to sign, so that will have to be taken into account as well. But I definitely think LA is the team that is going to have the most in return to match the trade offer, because they have both of their first round picks for 2026 and 2027. So I think that will be involved in this deal, especially, like I said, if the Islanders want to go the younger mold route, they're going to need draft picks. There's no doubt about that, to make some of these trades for the young guys that they want. Maybe like a Bowen Byram, whose name's been floated out there a lot for, guys that are RFAs that still aren't unsigned. So I think a first-round pick, Kemper going back in the other direction, because you do also have to give the Islanders a serviceable goalie back in this deal. There's no doubt about that. But they got a plethora of young guys there, like a Quentin Byfield. Maybe that might be too much with the first-round pick, but I definitely think if LA kind of wants to have a last shot at it for Anze Kopitar and the older guys that they have there, they definitely have to put it all on the line and be willing to go out and get a goaltender, and not just a goaltender, one of the best goaltenders in the entire NHL. So I think this is a good trade for Los Angeles. I think they would definitely have to go up on one of their young guys, whether it's Clark on the back end, whether it's Byfield, or maybe it's just, maybe a mid-tier prospect that hasn't made the team yet. They will have to give up one of these guys to make the cap work. With Kemper, obviously he's on a $5 million deal, so that helps there, but something like this is going to have to happen for New York to want to say, hey, we're going to give up one of the best goalies in the league, and we're actually getting something in return. New York can just hang on to him. They can just say, hey, yeah, we're keeping Sorokin, we're going to try to kick the can again, but they're really going to need something to kind of tug the line really hard to make them, you know, hook the fish and be able to pull this trigger. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below, Islanders fans. What are you giving up? What for Sorokin for? Which teams do you think are going to be involved? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and if you made it this far in the video, I want to know what your favorite goal of this past season was, because I got a few rattling in my brain, and I'd love to hear your guys down below in the comment section. But as always, I've been your host, KC. We'll catch you in the next one.